So the second thing about resistance is it's sustained by conversations. A couple, Dr. and Dr. Ford wrote about this probably the best way, but you see it all the time. People create little bubbles of conversation. In the US, you have it on steroids at the moment. So you have the people who are all caught up in the world of conspiracy, who are mostly in that Trump camp. But you have some people caught up in a slightly different world of conspiracy in the Hillary camp. Yeah. The problem, by the way, with most conspiracies is it requires competence that's rarely present. No. So most conspiracies wouldn't work because there are not enough people smart enough to pull it off. No. But the people who believe in the conspiracy talk to other people who believe in the conspiracy. You have this thing going on where your leader is talking about legalizing marijuana. But the people who are in favor of legalizing marijuana are mostly talking to other people who are in favor. And the people who are opposed are mostly talking to the other people who are opposed. So things tend to happen in bubbles. And resistance happens in bubbles. The people who are against it talk to other people who are against it. And the conversations they have tend to fall into these kind of flavors. Created realities. And you only notice them when you're on the outside. Any of you, by the way, some of you are young enough, I'm too old, to remember high school cliques. The group that would, create the little reality. And this very deep concern about something that 4 years later means nothing. So, complacency. We don't need to change. What we're doing works. We've been doing this for decades. And then there's Eeyore syndrome. This won't work either. Why should we try? You see your optimism? It's snowing and it's freezing, but there's no earthquake. Then there's cynicism. They're just rearranging the deck chairs one more time. Nothing's really going to change. It's not going to be different. They're putting lipstick on a pig. And then there's the victim. They're doing it to us again. They don't understand how it really is. So, take a look at these. And by the way, remember, victims often have real grievances. But look at those conversations. Which is dominant? Which ones are dominant? Is it complacency? Is it Resignation. Cynicism. Victim. Talk at your table. Which conversations are dominant? Let me ask different tables this time. So if I can ask over here, which conversations do you think are dominant? Complacency. Yeah. And you're a big agency, so you can have complacency over here, resignation over here, and Eeyore syndrome over there. No. How about back here? Yes, I'm looking at, you are all looking at each other, but I'm looking at you. You're wearing purple.
Me?
Yes.
We felt that they, depending on the situation, they all sort of play at some point or another. Which one's most fun? It was between complacency and
Victim. If we keep working this way,
we're going through a few changes. That's why we're talking about the perception that nothing gets done, nothing gets finished, so it's a little bit of a resignation. And then we thought it led to some cynicism.
Yep.
And I think the difficulty, and we had a discussion, what we said, for community is recognize the changes we have to manage. But the path that gets sideways. But we don't have to manage how much. We talked about victim as well. Oh, they're doing it to us again. Here's another change. How are we going to affect us? Does that capture what we said?
so woe is me and cynicism. Victim and cynicism are dominant.
Well, resignation, cynicism, victim, and cynicism, they all kind of resonate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
How about one more table? Yeah, I know you're looking at each other, but I'm expecting one of you to talk.
We talked about resignation. Thankfully, the reasons we haven't choosing no change would happen in our company was the same conversations happen at different times. It happens all the time, so it happens in the want to change, so it's just kind of like that resignation is starting to set in.
So, a couple of things turn up. One is the thing that was identified here. Change takes time. Real change takes years. You want to change the culture, you want to change the organization. Most of the people who write about culture change say 5 to 7 years to embed a new culture. If you're talking about changes in practice, 1 to 2. If you're talking about change in organizational structure as well as practice, 3 or 4. But you're also talking about change that doesn't stop. Because this is a journey. Step 64 may be where you are, and you might be, way ahead of somebody else, but if you turn around and look the other way, step 70, you get to 70, congratulations, there's more. There's no end to this, as far as we know. Because I've never met an agency where everybody has the life they want, where they are connected to their communities and directing their own lives. And, as someone was telling me while I was giving you an assignment, you have a lot of people coming in the door. You have many people knocking on the door, and the people who are coming in are typically people in crisis, which puts more pressure on you. So, how do you begin to change these conversations? You lead change with stories. You manage change with data. So you need to have stories that are counter conversations. Stories that illustrate success. Stories that show how the people doing the work are not victims. Stories where people are proud of the mastery they have and what they've accomplished, the people who use services. Cantor says make everybody a hero. But one of the exercises I do with people is, how do you like being appreciated? How do you like being appreciated? Think of 3 ways in which you like to be appreciated. What are 3 ways you like to be appreciated? How many of you said money? This is why we ask for 3, because we're not going to give you any. Because we haven't got any. How many of you like public praise? How many of you like to be recognized in public? You'd like to be standing up here, get an award, plaque. Are you all Canadians? Oh, good. We're too modest. How many of you want private recognition? Most of you? So, when you're doing this and saying we're going to make everybody a hero, which is going to get past some of that victim stuff, some of that complacency stuff, some of the cynicism stuff, you have to figure out, how do we recognize people? And one of your challenges is private recognition is private. You need some public stories. So you tell the story about the person, and the individual who provided that support gets recognized, embedded in the story. So it's a story about the person who uses services that highlights what the person who's delivering the services accomplished, without making it seem like you're putting them in the forefront, but still making it clear that they're people who are doing things. And stories will spread. But you want stories that are targeted at the particular issue, particular kind of conversation that you're talking about. And you need to figure out how you're sharing those stories. So the newsletter is a way. Can you tell a story in 140 characters? That would make a nice tweet. Or can you tweet something that points people to something a bit longer? Facebook works. But again, you have to have a strategy that works. And the communication strategy should not be totally drawn up by people over 50. Does all this make sense then?